Hello, it's Charles Brooks. I'm on a walk at the corner of Glenwood and True, and this is my outlet. Just gonna take a walk up the hill through the cemetery, along the watershed, the county watershed, and then back down the road through the woods. Couldn't think of the word watershed. What is that? I was going to do this yesterday. Frankly, I was going to do it Friday. Decided to stay home and watch YouTube instead. I hope you don't do that. I hope you turn off your computer or other internet device and get out and enjoy the weather. I'll take a little skip to the grass here. I think we're past the house far enough. So there's a very, very slight change toward autumn. Very slight. Evening temperatures have been in, well, no lower than the 40s. No frost yet. And daytime temperatures have for quite a while now stayed below 80, and most of the time are below 75. I think the weather said 73 when I left the house. This is Glenwood Cemetery. It's not the oldest or the grandest cemetery in town, but it's cool. I like graveyards, and not just what that is. Not just for Halloween. Let's go up this way. Still just between the tombs. Yeah, I got stuck in my fingers. Okay, that's better. Illegible. That's too bad. These must be among the oldest graves here. I can see a few letters, but not enough to make any sense of it. Now these are better. I see 1876. 1886, 1887. This little one here is fallen. I'm going to just leave it right there, because at least facing down, it should be safe from even more weathering. This is halfway legible. Well, 1937, I should hope. It's not been that long yet. We've almost reached the road. I find not only does my arthritis bother me, but I overheat very easily. In fact, it's like I have hot and cold flashes. Oh, this is... I can't see, is it? Ah, yes, it is. 1897 and 1905. The wife survived the husband by 8 years. So the cemetery wraps around the hill here. And then there's a deep gully, which is the drain for the watershed. Drains under the highway in a pipe, which keeps things more or less dry. Milks. One way. That's for sure. I'd like to get down by the river and take a walk there, but I find that's too far for me to walk anymore. When I was in my 30s, I used to have walks of 12 miles a day. And that over the Appalachian Trail. Now, I can barely make it up a paved road. Can't imagine how it would be in a pack. I'd be totally stopped. The Ukrainian Graveyard is across the way. This seems to be a more general graveyard here. And then there's a Catholic graveyard at the top of the hill. And you can see a few red leaves in that tree. But the trees are still weeks away from turning. We're approaching middle October. There's an animal down there. And look at these old stones. Philander. Oh, that's his first name. Hulbert. Philander Hulbert. It's buggy. Lavinia. Henry Hulbert. But this must be the whole Hulbert clan here. And there's graves behind them. I'm sure a lot of the graves here are now unmarked due to their age. You can see a stream down there. Got hit by something really big. I hope I'm not going to be bit up by mosquitoes. That's the other edge of the graveyard. Forms like a V shape. And then there's a large square at the top. So at that large dark green tree, it's the border stops coming toward us and goes directly up the hill, forming the large green space. On the other side, the topography of the ground marks the boundary. It's fairly a straight line between here and the watershed. Yeah, so you can see there the boundary of the trees marks where the graveyard is, or it marks where the graveyard ends. (1861). I don't know if that's date of birth or date of death, because I can hardly read the stone. You see here where half of it fell off. And so the readable part of the inscription, it's Bodsford, ends at died, and then below that nothing can be determined. This one though, is quite legible. I'm guessing 1885. 1863, sorry. And the other person, 1854. All right. More on the flat now. Will be easier for us. And we're among the newer graves. And of course, those are foreign names. We might be among the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians have used the cemetery fairly heavily. Oh, this one's interesting. Let's walk over to the one with the picture on it. At least it's photogenic. Soy. Yes, I've never met so many Ukrainians in one place until I came to Binghamton. Lovely people. I met a Ukrainian lady. She was about 20 years younger than me. And I asked her out, but she wasn't having it. We had an awful time communicating. She was a recent immigrant, and her English was poor. So I couldn't really understand her. And part of the reason I wanted to go out with her, aside from the fact that she's attractive, some Greek Catholics, was to better understand her. Because I know I have always had this issue with comprehending people with strong accents. I've always had a great enjoyment of the Greeks. When I took up ancient Greek in college as part of my training as a minister, I enjoyed the language so very much. That looks like a fresh grave. So I'm looking for a path. That will take me over to the watershed. I think it should be around this utility building. They don't have a mausoleum here. Only the graves. Yes, it should be right at the corner here. I have to be careful. I fell there once. I used to be able to run through woods, sure-footed and fast. I'm not sure-footed anymore. I think I'm lifting my feet high, but I'm not. There's just so much more stress on my body than there used to be. Okay, I think I know where it is. It's just past the picnic table. The picnic table is obviously for the workers. You gotta have some place to sit and eat lunch. I began enjoying cemeteries when I was a minister. My first year, seemed I was doing a funeral every other week, which is why I came to that church, because I knew it was doomed unless it got new blood in it. I think this is it here. I wasn't successful. Maybe the next guy had better luck, because it was still around a decade ago, which is remarkable since it was all elderly people back in the 80s. Well, that was what I wanted. Oh, now here is the place where I fell. It's rather rough right here. And as you see, it goes right over to the grassy area surrounding the watershed. Okay, we're through the worst of it. I think it's kind of damp here. You can see where the trail is pounded down. 9 years ago, when I first came over to this side of town and discovered the watershed, though that might only be 5 years ago because I didn't discover it immediately, there was a lot less brush, and you could come in without going through the graveyard